Hey, welcome to Armchair Quarterbacks. It's Tim,
And Richard.
and we're going to sort of deep dive into a small business and just sort of do a little bit of an interview of the CEO of Impact Solutions, which is
Me.
Richard. So that's the plan. And as always, we start with our most interesting use of AI. And I have to say, AI, um, and I have to say for Integrate IQ, I don't, I take it back. So here's the most interesting use of AI for me over the last week for Integrate IQ. We use a project management tool called Jira. And Jira is a pain in the ass. And from a non-developer perspective, it's hard to use. Our developers love it. It does everything they need it to do. And from a project management perspective and a time management perspective and a forecasting perspective, we wanted to try to, like, we don't want to work in sprints, but for our integrations, we want to have templated tasks that get assigned to people on the team that have associated estimated times and delivery dates. And then we wanted to measure against those things to see if we're on track, off track, if we're using more time than we expect or less time than we expect, do burn down reports, and just generally have better visibility into our delivery.
Sure.
Sounds good. It turns out to be pretty hard in Jira from a non-developer perspective. So gosh, for 6 months, maybe we've been playing with this, trying to get it right. And we have this product called Message IQ. It's a text messaging service that you can send and receive text messages from HubSpot. It's sold in the HubSpot marketplace. And we have a roadmap for this product. And the product is 6 years old now, maybe. So we have several what are now called spaces in Jira. Think of it as, sort of big projects. And we have Message IQ tasks, completed ones and ones that are still in process. They're called issues, spread in all of these things. And I wanted to consolidate the Message IQ roadmap into one rational place where we can all see it. We can prioritize and associate each item with urgency, assign it to a person, associate how long we think it should take, and a due date. Seems like it shouldn't be all that hard. The first thing I needed to do in Jira is go to all these spaces, try to consolidate the list and all the junk that's all over the place. And that turns out to be incredibly hard. Like, I should be able to, in Timland, I would be able to search for a couple keywords. Our abbreviation for Message IQ is MIQ. And we try to abbreviate the beginning of all of our issues with something that identifies it either with the client or our internal,
like a hashtag
product, like a hashtag. So I tried to search those things and get a consolidated list across spaces. Could not figure out how to do it, and that only took 2 days. So I have had 2 unproductive days. I jumped into Claude, where we have a connector to Jira. Started typing away, and I had it go look for all Message IQ related tasks to come back, put it in a table with certain elements of those tasks, the issue number, who's responsible for it, due date, all that, current status. And it went away, and 15 minutes later had a consolidated list that I could easily upload into Google Sheets.
Nice.
And then I began to manipulate that list and filter that list. Now I have completely given up on Jira. I'm like doing all this manipulation in in Claude, filtering out tasks that are done, creating the structure that we use. You can only do 3 levels of structure, right? So we have epics, which everything falls under. It's like the top organizational principle. Stories, user stories after that, and then subtasks after that. So that's the hierarchy of stuff. I had Claude evaluate all of the 400 issues and come up with an appropriate user story hierarchy that was limited to, I think, 12 things. And then I had to put all of the subtasks into those, organize it, and then put it into something I could copy into Google Sheets so I could easily see and manipulate it. I did a little bit of tweaking in there, brought it back into Jira. I had to eliminate all of the duplicates because, as you can imagine, there was a bunch of duplicates. It did that. It consolidated where it needed to, like merged subtasks. Then I had it create a new epic, new user stories, new subtasks, all in the hierarchy that it came up with, and I didn't have to do hardly anything with it. So now we have this super clean roadmap in Jira thanks to Claude. And that whole process, once I figured out Claude was the thing, I bet you I had 3 hours into it. But I had 2 days and I got nowhere in Jira. So that was super cool.
Yeah. When it was pulling in these 400 issues and you said you had it go into like 12 buckets, 12 categories. Were those categories your categories or did it make the categories?
It made the categories.
Yeah. See, I think that part is fascinating. Its ability to think about large piles of stuff, right?
Yeah.
To see the relationships right? To recognize the pattern.
Yeah.
Right? To recognize the pattern. And so, it would be neat to step back and say, look, I don't know if our user stories are right. But what I do know is our issues are right? Because those are dealing with stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Hey, Claude, what user stories are implied by this? And essentially that sounds like what you did at the epic level as well, right? Which is, yeah.
Well, so the epic level,
epic.
Yeah,
it just made one epic.
Yeah, Message IQ Roadmap is the name of that.
Yeah. Okay. So, but the user stories, that would be fascinating to not just in order to analyze what's there, but I think stepping back now that that's done, maybe even go back for a second pass and be like, let's look broadly over this. What are the user stories and what are the common user stories? What are the themes? So that, and maybe there's enough data, maybe there's not enough data, but where am I going with this is to say, from a product, you started this whole thing by talking about a product roadmap, but thinking about a product extension or product expansion sort of thinking through, what do I do next?
Yeah.
Right. What else could I add?
Yeah.
What else could I expand into that isn't right? Having it look at, what are we good at? What are the user stories that we're good at solving, that are consistent, that people are consistently finding as pain points that we solve? And then with it on its own to provoke you, and then using that, think about, what product extensions, market expansions could I think about, given essentially it doing a SWOT analysis on what's real, right? What are your strengths? What are your opportunities? What are your weaknesses? What are your threats? Based on the issues that are there and how fast I solve them. Where do our strengths align? What do we keep coming back and editing because it's not right? I bet there's, like I said, the cloud of data, it's hard for us to process.
Yeah.
But thematically, what are some common themes to the problems people have that we are really good at solving? And then thinking about those things in the context of product expansion or market expansion might be a fascinating thing to go through. Not to look for answers like, oh, yeah, we're going with number two, but more to provoke you then with,
Yeah.
hey, did you know, right? Self-reflection is so hard because we are all blind to ourselves, right? Our teams think they're great at stuff that they're not great at, and they think they're weak at stuff that they're probably great at. You know what I mean? It's like self-reflection is so hard. Having an objective tool go through and say, here's what customers are really saying, here's what you're really doing, and here's how it fits together in market expansion, product expansion,
Yeah.
like might be fascinating.
Yeah. It is a AI, right? Claude for short, but AI more broadly is a great thought partner.
100%.
The thing that I was thinking as you described that, like those are two elements. What are our current user stories like? What are we good at? What aren't we good at? What issues are we solving quickly? What aren't we solving quickly? There's other aspects of this that AI would be uniquely well placed to analyze, and that is what are prospects asking for in the marketplace in Reddit, in Quora, so what is the market?
Cross-reference that with
What is the market looking for,
and
what are competitors offering that we're not offering?
No,
So now you can. That's probably not a half-hour effort,
No.
right? And that would be a McKinsey level search and analysis, and
Here's
now
your market
you can,
positioning analysis, right?
So you look now. It looks across 5 distinct elements. Could probably come up with something pretty good.
At least something to provoke you, right? To start your thinking, because I know that for me is you refer to it as a thought partner, and yes, it's an overeager intern, but it is a decent enough thought partner in that the thinking is never done. But for me, thinking, writing, whatever, it's an 80-20, right? It Pareto, right? It's 80% of the 20% of the work is 80% of the effort, right? Getting 20% along is 80% of the effort, and then I get the other 80% done with 20% of the effort, and it's always the start for me. It's always like writing.
So AI is probably huge for you.
Yeah. It takes me, let's say it used to take me 3 days to write an article. 2.6 of those days, or whatever the equivalent of 80% is spent thinking about what I should be thinking about and kind of starting to organize my thoughts and trying to land on a story arc, on a theme that's going to be my gravitational center for the piece. And I do that now in 5 minutes, maybe not even 5 minutes, because, and again, I end up doing a lot of the writing, certainly all of the editing, but it helps get me through that first 80%, which is where I get stalled. So it just kicks me through that 80%. It kicks me through that stalled part so that I can really get flowing. And the way it does that, and the funny thing is, I do the same thing. I absolutely do the same thing in meetings. You go to a meeting, you're sitting there with senior execs, you're going to talk about what should our OKRs be for the next quarter. And you're sitting there, you're in a room with a blank dry erase board, you're standing there with a pen, okay, who wants to get started? Like, what do we think, right? And it's like everyone is sitting there staring at the board.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're dumb. And it's not that they don't care, and it's not that they're not hardworking, and it's not that, and it's not that it's not that.
Yeah.
So what I've learned to do in those situations is be like, we're here to talk about AOKRs for next quarter, et cetera, et cetera. Here's some things I was thinking, and I'll write stuff down. I know that a lot of my stuff, especially if it's a client, is asinine, potentially asinine, right? It's on the verge of being useless.
Yeah.
But they immediately engage. No, not that. It's more like this. And no, not this. Blah, blah. You're wrong entirely. It's this, this, and this. It's like, great, right? Because I don't want to stand in a room staring at a blank dry erase board and have everyone be like, if I write anything, it gets them going.
Yeah.
And that's what AI does for me, is it gets me going. It helps me form that first thought that becomes my gravitational center for whatever it is I'm trying to do. And then I finish that 80% in no time at all.
Yeah.
So much better. So much better. So, for example, were you done?
Yeah. No, go ahead.
My example for the week, just a base example, is we got a term sheet for one of my clients, a term sheet for a thing. And the board wanted to counter. We had outside consultants involved that had their input. The CEO had their input. Right? Everyone had thoughts on the offer letter and what should change and what could be added and what blah, blah, blah. And I was getting literally pinged a bunch of emails. No, not me. That group, including me, was pinging everybody else with all this stuff.
Yeah.
Including the outside consultants had come up with a short slide deck with their stuff, right? So, I mean, I had bullet points from emails, I had comments and one-offs, I had something. And I was like, I got to make sense of this, right? Because I was getting lost. I get lost very easily. I was getting lost. And so I literally said, here's the term sheet. Don't do anything, right? It always wants to do something. Like, let me summarize. No, here's the term sheet. Don't do anything. Here's the consultant's report, PowerPoint. Here's some points, copy and paste in stuff from emails. I probably could have just pointed in the emails, but copy and paste in the relevant stuff from the emails, because there was a lot of non-relevant stuff in there too. And I'm like, can you, in the framework of the original term sheet, so not using the same language, not whatever, but in that sort of same item 1 is item 1, item 2 is item 2, like, think about the comments people make, put it in those contexts, and write me a counter letter, like write me a counter offer. And be very nice, like, I'd like to thank them for their offer and their thoughtfulness on this and blah, blah. It wrote me, we ended up not using it, but it wrote a really professional counter offer to the MOU that included a lot of these points, that put it into really clear frameworks in the same order. So it's like, thank you for your offer, blah, blah, we're very excited to continue forward. The board and I are very excited to continue forward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have some points from your offer that we would like to clarify or amend, right? Something like that, right? So, because some of their things were questions and some other things are like, hey, no, let's try to get this, right? And so just item by item, section 1, we agree with you on blah, 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 but we would think the blah, 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 right? And what we ended up doing is just redlining their offer letter, which I thought was missing a lot of the contextual stuff. But what's funny is then that went back to counsel to be like, hey, what are we missing? And did we screw something up? And counsel's like, okay, wait, what's going on? And they're like, oh, you know what? We need to forward you some stuff. And actually, so I sent that letter on, and I'm like, don't use this letter, right? This is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to redline the original, right? That's what the board ended up wanting to do. But this lays out in the same framework as the original term sheet, like what our thinking in a pretty logical format, right? And so they ended up using that and changing the red line and getting it back. And we did that in 24 hours, whereas it probably would have taken much longer to get that through. So it was neat to be able to say, hey, a bunch of people have a bunch of opinions. A bunch of people have a bunch of like questions, and right, questions, like to haves, have to haves.
Yeah.
Can you organize all that by subject using the same framework that we need to anchor on?
Yeah.
So take all that mess and organize it for me. Did a great job.
And by the way, you have 2 minutes.
And by the way, yeah, I swear to God, it was something like that.
It's
It didn't think.
insane.
It didn't think. Like it didn't go away and be like, "I'll be ready for you in half an hour." Like it was like, "Okay, here you go."
It's incredible. Are you still using ChatGPT primarily?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's inertia.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
inertia. It's not. It's already on my phone. It's already. I just copy and paste stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Claude came. I switched from OpenAI to Anthropic. Claude came up with this prompt that you can prompt in
Yep.
OpenAI. You copy the results. You paste it in, but it's not. It's just not the same, right? Like I would like it. What I want is ChatGPT and Claude.
Together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Claude, right? Like I don't want to support OpenAI.
What do you like about ChatGPT that you don't get in
I
Claude?
feel like it. God, this is anthropomorphizing so
No, no,
badly.
please. I'm 100% the same way. Remember, I yelled at it.
It feels like I feel like it understands me better and my
Mm,
business
mm,
better
mm,
and our voice, our brand
mm,
voice
mm,
better. So, and I've spent 2.5 or 3 years now training this damn thing.
mm,
So it understands the brand. It
mm,
knows where to get brand assets.
mhm,
It understands we have a specific structure of our blog
mm,
posts. It
mm,
understands that.
mm,
It understands AEO and SEO for all everything we write.
mm,
It understands how to do case studies, how to do um, uh, I may have already said blog posts.
mm,
So I mean, it just understands all this
mhm,
stuff,
mhm,
and I trust it. I can put in the most minimal direction, and it comes back with something that's 100 times better than I could write.
mm. Yeah, it's like any employee. This is just a digital employee. Uh, Institutional knowledge matters,
Yeah,
right? In that institutional history, it's why losing someone that's been around 10 years, you're like, oh, this is going to suck at first.
yeah,
Because I'm going to bring in someone that maybe even is better than them, but they won't have that institutional knowledge.
yeah, yeah.
So hopefully it's a fast learning curve.
Yeah, I hope so. Also, things in Chat GPT were organized in a certain way. Like
Mm,
I had projects set up in there. So I think we've talked about this before. I had
mm, mhm,
a persona that was a VP of legal, VP of HR. I had a stock advisor in there,
mhm,
CTO, VP of sales, financial person or entity. I don't really know what to call it, but and I don't have all that same infrastructure
mm,
in Claude, so it's messier.
mm.
Now, at some point, I'm going to have to organize Claude that way. Um,
It's effort.
yeah, and effort and time. But it's Claude is getting better, right? I'd say it's 75% of what we had in ChatGPT, and learning curve went from 3 years, let's call it,
Yeah.
in ChatGPT to 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even less than that
Yep.
for Claude. So,
Yep.
but a lot of the groundwork, foundational stuff, had been laid already.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's, if you don't mind, I'd like
Yep.
to shift gears. I wanted to talk to you for a long time about your business impact solutions. This episode brought to you by Impact Solutions, and part of it's about. I mean, we use Fractional CFO.
Mhm.
You do our bookkeeping. You're my financial thought partner. You help with structure and reporting, and like there's a gazillion things um, that you do. And I think that was part of your original vision for the business. But the place I'd like to start is just if you could just give me the impact solution story and we'll start from there.
Okay. By story, you mean history? History?
I don't mean. I mean, why did you start it?
Yeah, yeah,
What did
yeah,
you originally? What did you want to accomplish?
yeah. I have a history of being a finance person that um, starts in an organization, grows it up, or it morphs and change. The job becomes boring at some point, and then I leave, or uh, and then I start that process again. Right. So it's eh, eh, so if you think about it, it was a fractional CFO on 100% commitment in a 2 or 3 year cycle, right? It was always like,
Yeah.
right. So I kept going through that thing.
Did that feel safer?
Safer?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Mm.
No. So yeah. So to back up a little, I wouldn't say. So when you say safer, I'm my brain translated that into safer financially.
Job security.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a I think 85% of the world believes that having a full-time job working for somebody else
I see what you're
is
asking.
more secure
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
being an entrepreneur working on your own.
Yeah.
It I have always felt more exposed than when I work for somebody else.
Yeah. Got it. Now I get your question now. So two things on that is I am not a visionary. I am an operator that my sweet spot is in the how and the do.
Mm.
A good visionary is in the where.
Mm.
This is where we're going.
Mm.
A lot of times, really good visionaries have trouble translating that vision
Into how.
and articulating that to the rest of the organization.
Yeah.
I love being matched with a where that needs me to help translate that vision into the organization and helps the organization get it done. I need so backing up on the how this all got started. It was not about. I never thought about fractional before. I'd never considered it, so it wasn't like I thought about it as like I better take the job. It's just I never had thought about it before. What I had only thought about before was, and in some cases gotten myself into trouble because of it. I love dynamic businesses, which means they could be going up, they could not be going up,
Yeah.
right? They could be going the not up. I have a need to be needed.
Mm.
I need my work to matter. I think that's true for a lot of folks. They want their work to matter. I want my work to matter. And so I end up in situations where my work matters, but sometimes that comes with a cost, right? Meaning it may not be a stable situation,
Yeah.
right?
But you're having a big impact.
But I'm having a huge impact,
Yeah.
right? And so I was going through this cycle again, and I was considering leaving that company. And I talked about it with Brenda. And I'm like, I'm thinking about doing this fractional thing because there are other companies that could use me too, and they still need me, but it's a different look and feel now. Like, so, and this fractional thing seems to be a thing, right? I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? And she said, "Sounds great. Right? Sounds fine." She's like, my only ask is that you put the word impact in the name, right? And I think you um, had a influence on the name, and she had an influence on the name. She's like, because that's what you want to do. That's it, right? If you were independently wealthy, Richard, right? If you were a trust fund kid, you would still do work in order to try to make an impact.
Yeah.
Right? And if you think about it, you and I've had this discussion before about, Richard, why in the hell do you never want to retire? It's because that's how I define my life. right? That is how I define my life. And so in that definition, in that world I've created for myself, when I can no longer make an impact, who am I? Right? And I'm lesser. I am absolutely lesser given my own definition of myself, right?
Yeah.
So, am I worthless? No. But am I lesser? Absolutely. Right. And I think about things. I just wrote a piece for Ava that Ava's going to publish, which included, it's our responsibilities, not ourselves, that we should take seriously. So that's
I
the
love
last
that.
one. And as one of the lines in there, or maybe it was in the previous one, I talk about the the movie Lawrence of Arabia,
Yeah.
and in one of the scenes of Lawrence of Arabia, Lawrence is talking to, I think, not Prince Faisal, but one of the main characters, and he's saying, you take the Turks' money, and you do things for them. Are you at their bidding? And he's like, I crush my foes. I collect my thing. Like I do all this stuff. Yet I am poor because I am a river to my people. Right. And I don't know why that is always. I was a small little boy when that came out, but that's what it meant to me to make an impact. Right. Is like you're doing in tough situations, and sometimes hard work is even more rewarding to do because it's hard. Otherwise, anyone could do it. What the hell? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Impact is easy work,
Yeah.
right? By definition. So, by doing hard things so that you can be a river to your people, that matters. And so,
Before you move on, define river to your people.
Meaning, uh, the resources flow. I am a source of resources to the community, right? To my people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I am a river to my people, meaning resources flow from me. And if you think about just the metaphor of water, right? A pool is not bringing resources anywhere, right? So you could accumulate, like, look at all the water I have, right? But by being a river, you're bringing resources downstream, and you're making lands fertile, and you're helping things grow, and you're so you want it to move, right? Movement, this motion is part of it, right?
You're having an impact.
Right. You are turning the desert into farmland.
Yeah.
Right. That's not what I do, but that's what I want to do.
Yeah. That's the vision.
That's the vision. That's so in that, being able to help multiple people in unique and special ways, in areas where I can make it, where I have the expertise and experience to make a difference.
Yeah.
So fractional in that sense makes sense.
Yeah.
And then came COVID.
Mm.
And COVID taught us we don't have to be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah.
COVID taught us that I don't need my finance team to be in the office down the hall in case, for whatever reason, I need to walk down the hall, because I'm not in the office either.
Have
right?
we been doing this since COVID?
I think
that's what crazy for me to think about.
So has it been since COVID? It probably hasn't been since COVID. It's been since after COVID. But I think COVID helped make it possible.
Yeah.
Right?
COVID, Zoom in particular just exploded during COVID.
Yeah. So the concept of
remote work.
Remote, and almost by definition, remote work is fractional. Like, I may buy 100% of my staff person's time, but I'm only interacting with them in a staccato way, right?
Mm.
And so if I'm getting enough of that staccato, I'm fine. And so you hear all these stories of people with like 8 screens up because they're taking 8 full-time jobs, right? And collecting $1 million a year as a software engineer because they're being held to a pretty low standard, but being paid at a full-time rate. I think that's like, shame on the companies for not having the right level of oversight and whatnot, right?
I never thought about that.
But those individuals are fractional too.
Yeah.
They're just playing a game. Frankly, your business offers your customers the ability to get the proportion of engineers that they need
Yeah.
in the proportion that they need them.
Yeah. With the skill set that they need at the time.
And I would say, back in the day, they might have said, oh, you know what? We need to connect this system to this system. Let's have IT hire someone for that.
Yeah.
And then you had someone twiddling their thumbs half their day because it's really only a half-time job. But the organization's mindset is that's a person. So therefore, let's write a job description and set it up and blah, blah, blah. Like so that's one thing is COVID taught us to think in a fractional way and to interact in a fractional way.
Yeah.
Technology now also supports operating in a fractional way.
Yeah.
Any back office role. I met on Friday with someone in HR who is an HR person for a company, and we were talking about other things. I just met him, right? Not that I was meeting up with them. I just met him. And he's like, what do you do? I explained. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm in HR. I'm thinking about doing that too. And I'm like, you absolutely need to give it thought, because I'm sorry, I don't know of a company, certainly not in where I work, in my client base. Maybe when you have thousands of employees, you need a full-time person. You can easily run 100+ person organization without a full-time HR person. 100%. And in fact, if you want to get what you really need, you need a fractional den mother and a fractional compliance officer. And I don't think you need the den mother, but some places think they do. A fractional den mother, a fractional compliance officer, a fractional payroll, and due person. You don't need a HR generalist, right? So this is what I offer for my clients from a finance perspective is don't hire a controller level person, a finance director or whatever, and expect them to do everything from AP and AR to your business planning and board meetings. Like, get a little bit of CFO, get a little bit of a controller, get a little bit of bookkeeper, and then you're paying in the right proportion for what you need, because the world is so much more efficient now.
Yeah.
The world is so much more efficient now. I don't know, that was HR, but I don't know an organization, again, of any medium size or smaller, that needs a full-time bookkeeper. They don't need a full-time bookkeeper. You could triple in size and not need a full-time bookkeeper.
Huh.
Right? I mean,
it's hard for me to, so we're a $2.5 million business. It's hard for me to imagine not leveraging fractional executive resources the way we are. Like it,
yeah. You could be 10 times bigger and not need a full-time, any of those things we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? 10 times bigger.
Challenge accepted.
Right? And I firmly believe that the technologies that we're leaning into to make people more efficient, thereby leading to a situation where you don't need a full-time person, they're only getting better.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
And fast. So maybe right now, let's dial back Richard's enthusiasm and say, okay, Richard, if I was 5 times bigger, we'd be getting to the point where with all the invoices and the checking of the stuff that we get wrong, et cetera, and with the payables that would come in, that would be so much more volume and blah, blah, blah. But the tools to process those things are also increasing. Mm-hmm. You might have that same person putting in the same hours they're doing now when you double, when you triple, when you quintuple. So at that point, the human doing that role has to think fractionally. Like I said to the HR person, unless you work at places with 1,000 employees or more, how many employers like that are there in our area? Then I would absolutely think fractionally. And because They don't need to see you all the time, and have moved out of that mindset. And the tools exist for you to be able to leverage yourself so much more, right? Um, and if you beat your compatriots to it, you'll be first to market. Like, you'll be early to market.
Yeah. So, which maybe brings me to my next question is, what's in it for the HR person? Like, I get it from a customer perspective.
Yeah.
I live it from a customer. Makes really good sense.
Yeah.
Why would if the HR person can get a full-time job, why would they want to do a fractional job?
Yeah. I think, well, I guess the implication of what I said, between people understanding that they don't need a full-time person and the technology being there that they don't have to have a full-time person, I'm assuming that over time, more and more companies are going to wake up and say, why do I have a full-time person?
Mm.
And then they're going to look for a fractional person, and you're going to get fired.
So it's safety, job security, risk mitigation.
It is, if you love your role and you want to keep doing it, right? You don't want to get retrained into something else, then go where the market is. This is what all businesses should be doing, right? I mean, your business, if a certain area dried up, it's not like, you know what we're going to do is we're going to keep doubling down on that. You're going to be like, that market's not there anymore. We're going over here because that's where the market is. And I'm saying, like, I'm sorry, as a back office person, as an HR person, like wherever you are, you're not a game maker, you're a game player.
Yeah.
Where is that customer going to be? Every employee has a customer. Like, they might not want to believe that's true or not, but every employee offers skills to their employer. That's their customer, and their customer can change their mind. And employees are fickle, and businesses are fickle.
So
go do what you love. Like, go do what you love. And if you do love that, and the market's going to be thinking fractionally, then beat everyone else there and build your business now.
I think about low-hanging fruit for fractional, and places where AI is disintermediating people.
Mm-hmm.
Travel agencies,
mm-hmm. The internet did that.
Legal,
yep.
Human resources, accounting.
Yep.
I don't think probably sales leadership. Though you can get
lead gen,
some of it. Oh my God,
customer success,
parts
lead
of
gen.
the pipeline for
Yep.
sure.
Yep,
without a doubt.
Yep.
Yeah, particularly the SDR role, the lead gen role. It's kind of the top of funnel stuff. Marketing. Oh my God.
100%.
Oh my God.
100%.
Developers.
Low-level engineering. That's going to be tough in 10 years.
Yeah.
And because we're not going to have built up any mid-level engineers, because we don't give low-level engineers any work anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've got a director at Nintendo that they have not changed their hiring practices because, and I've said, how is that true, given the fact that you can have certain engines write a lot of code for you. And he said, because we promote to senior engineer in 3 years and manager in 5 years. And I don't want to know where my managers are coming from. I don't want to have to worry where my managers are coming from. And we originally had that conversation about 3 years ago. And so I asked him recently, and I'm like, still on the same thing? He's like, absolutely. We overhire. It has actually afforded us the ability to make mistakes on talent, because then we can turn those over and make sure we're the right people who have the right skills are at senior, instead of just like, oh, well, we have so much work that we have to make them senior. Now we have the ability to be choosy. Because I don't got to keep them around because AI is doing a lot of the work. Now, Nintendo is very successful. Like, gaming companies make absurd margins. So he has the ability to overhire and then be choosy. Like, it has worked out for him. Startups don't have that.
Did I hear Microsoft is getting out of Xbox?
Really?
I thought that was a cash cow for them.
They definitely.
Actually, my son said that. I
thought they got out of some studio. I didn't realize the Xbox entirely. So
it's hard to imagine.
I don't know. Here's what we can say about our friends at Microsoft is, from a consumer product perspective, they've never been good at it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
They own the SMB market. They put in enough controls and things like that to get a lot of enterprise clients as well. Um, Now Google owns the asset. Like Google has made their into the real SMB, the S of SMB markets, right? I'm talking about the traditional use of SMB, which is like companies from 100 to 500 employees, right? Which I would never think of as an S.
No, those are M's.
Those are M, yeah. Um, so they still have like full-time IT people that want to justify their roles and put in all sorts of. I was dealing with a client today who is not a big company, but they did have a full-time IT person who did think of themselves. It was military trained and whatnot, and so had kind of a bigger company mindset. Military training is not the problem; the bigger company mindset is the problem. And so she could not. I made a shared Google document for us to work on a particular subject, and she couldn't log into it because she couldn't log into it. Even though I was like, anyone with this link, like we got to the point where in Google Docs, it's like people with this link, you invite people to use it, and then people with the link can use it. So it's like only invited people, people with the link, anyone with right. And it's like I put it to anyone, and she could not go there. She was blocked on her computer.
My wife is in the pharmaceutical industry, locked down. Our insurance client locked down. They can't use any Google Workspace stuff at all, including Google Meet.
Mm.
So I've managed to get us off track.
Anyway,
so Fractional makes good sense.
It makes absolutely good sense for the company. We now have the tools and mindset to support that. That's where the industry is going. If you love your job and you want to do it well, go do that. You absolutely have to learn something. The same thing I told a guy I met on Friday. You have to learn how to sell. Right. Thankfully, I know someone who has taught me some awesome things, and I learn from them every single day.
You're such a natural.
But this is why you are the reason why my business has been successful.
I do not believe that a second. You are the reason you're all right.
I've got the passion for it, and I've got the expertise and experience. But selling, Matt, you're going to have to learn to sell.
Yep.
That's the shift.
Yeah.
And those that don't want to do that, maybe try to keep finding a job.
But selling is really. I don't want to turn this into a sales thing. The thing that you have incorporated is selling is not selling. Selling is helping. In you really have brought that into yourself and understand it, and that is your approach, and that's why you're successful, and why you don't have fear of reaching out to new people, because you know that you're going to be able to help them.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
what broke open my mind, and I know you've heard this story before because I have told many people this story in front of you, usually when introducing you at a thing, is the following. So listen up. This is Tim's voice. So, hey, Richard, do you believe in what you're doing? Are you good at it? Is it, are you making a difference? Like, are you good at it? Do you believe in what you're doing? Yeah. Well, then why would you withhold that from someone? Right? It broke my mind open. Why would you withhold that from someone? Right? The implication is, why would you keep that a secret? Right? Why would you not share that with people? If you do reach out to them, it may feel uncomfortable because you don't have those muscles built, right? Those muscles are atrophied, Richard. But if you really believe in what you're doing, Richard, you're doing them a favor by letting them know, right? Are you a good solution? Yes, I am. Are you as good or better than the other choices they have? Yes. Then why would you withhold that information from them, Richard? Like, at least give them a chance. That's like saying you know where the food court is, and you're not going to tell someone who needs a meal, right? So it's not it. You may not have those muscles. Like I didn't have those muscles, but you're not smarmy if you really are going to help them. and I really am going to help them.
Yes, you are.
Right?
Yep.
So huge, broke my mind open, like crack, and things fell out. Like it was amazing. Like it was a moment. It was a seminal moment. And so I've shared this several times.
Uh, and so this is going to be such a stretch. Sorry. I'm going to do my best to get back on my thought track here. For whatever reason, you are an absolute natural, and you bring so much value to your clients. Here's my question in the leap. You started this. You have a background in finance. It's totally like I get the leap from working for one company in a finance type role to being fractional and working for several companies in a finance type role. Is that your vision, or is your vision broader than that?
No, I don't know. Why do I say that? Because I am not sure that's actually a true statement. But if things were to align, if things were to work out, what could I see happen? The biggest difficulty I have will be the next step, which is growing beyond an organization that I can wrap my arms around, right? It's me plus, where any interesting work I end up doing rather than finding people to help me in that, right? Growing the business beyond, maybe acquiring another little accounting firm or something, and knitting it into the brand I'm creating. What I wanted to do for the first whatever years, and it feels like I'm not there yet, is do two things. One, really be clear about my brand offering, my different, like, who am I? And I don't mean I, but who is Impact Solutions,
Yep.
right? And the second is to start to move beyond me. And I think I'm getting a clear picture of the brand. I am struggling with the moving beyond me. And I don't mean...
Is that a control thing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, I don't know. The controller work, easy to give away. The bookkeeping work, easy to give away, right? And bring them along and help them and make them understand and help them figure out the world and, oh, it should be more like this versus that, right? So the internal teaching is there, right? So it's not like that's missing. It's not like I hit the ripcord and just eject the work. No, it's they're part of Impact Solutions, right? They're part of Impact Solutions. They have that same sort of, but it's, and I still feel the desire. I don't think it's need, but I still feel the desire to eat what I kill. And maybe it's because I fall in love with the puzzle, right? And it's like, I don't want to give that puzzle to someone else. So I wouldn't say it's control from oh no one can do it the way I do it. It's more like, it's so much fun. I don't want someone else to take that fun. I can do that fun. It's like, Richard, no, you're stretched too thin. You can't do that fun. You need to find someone else to give that to. It's like, I need to let go of that fun, right?
Yeah.
That's my issue right now. That's my biggest issue right now.
So let's assume in some world, I was going to, not necessarily the perfect world, but in a world where you have expanded, do you want to stay in the finance realm, or do you want to go and provide other?
That's a really good question. I have only ever presumed. So the same way that I never gave Fractional a thought before Fractional was a thought.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a man in search of a vision. I'm not a visionary. So that's from a Zorro movie. Yeah, everything I get is from movies. Anyway, I'll go back to what I said before, which is so I have never thought about like, do we add COO stuff? Do we add HR stuff? Do we add like, and I have people that I work with that I can bring in those.
Yep.
So you'll see on my website where it's like, we can help in all these other areas because I
You have
know
a
people.
network.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got a network, and we can solve that for you, and
Yeah.
we'll solve it super efficiently for you, and we'll get it, and you'll love the answer. Um, the what a different way to answer your question though is not that, which is incremental thinking, right? How do we make the mechanical pencil better, right? That's like what I was just talking about in terms of making my business quote unquote better. I want to keep coming back to when I'm at these crossroads is not the right words, decision points. When I am looking at these opportunities, right? When I'm thinking about these things clearly, my responsibility is to that original vision, which is I want to make a difference. I want to be a river to the people. And so I think if I'm honest with myself about that, and I've tried to be lately because you raised a question not too long ago that made me think about that, which is if I can be that river, if I can make a difference, right? Which you hear when I give you answers is my hesitancy on, well, have you thought about blankety blanks? Like, I don't know if I'd be great at that, right?
Mm.
And it's usually not, and maybe I'll say things like, I don't know if I can be good at that. But internally, it's like, am I going to be kick ass at that, right? I mean, that's really what it is, right? That's what I owe you and anybody else I work with. Am I really going to be, can I be kick ass? Can I look them in the eye and be kick ass at that? Because in the end, that's what I want. I want to, that's the way I make a difference is if I'm kick ass at that. Make sense?
Yeah, it's the way you make an impact.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I need to think more broadly about, I've always presumed that my expertise and experience to this point dictates the areas where I can make the most impact. I don't know if that's true, and I probably need to think more broadly about that. But in the end, I believe I will only say yes to the things where I can actually do something for them, not just have it be cool for me.
Yeah, yeah. Not just collect a paycheck.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
And serendipity happens. Another one of my papers. Serendipity happens. I have never fear the consequences of doing the right thing. It's another one of my. I have never not had it work out in the end. It's not like I haven't had some tough times. Everybody goes through tough times, goes through light times, goes through whatever. I've never had it not work out if I keep trying to do the right thing, right? And I keep trying to make a difference, not just make an effort, but make a difference, right? Effort is great and usually will lead to, but if things will line up, people will come, it will work out, I'll pay the bill. So yes, there is always the worry about like, damn, where's that next, insert thing that you have to pay for here, right? It's always worked out. I worry about those things less and less the older I get.
I'd like to double click on that a little bit. I assume that most people that will consume this content are going to be younger than us.
Okay.
Because fucking most
everybody
people
are younger than us.
And I think what you've just said is really important. It's an important lesson that if we can find a way to get that across to people, and here's my shorthand for this lesson is it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
And I did not have that faith as a younger person.
No, I'm with you.
I had to control so much. I had to worry so much. I had to plan so much. And at the end of the day, it was always all going to be okay. And I would have had a more enjoyable life, and I would have had more impact on the people that I interacted with, and been a more positive force in the universe had I understood that.
You got that right there, brother.
And
me too.
Distill this down. It's going to be okay. It is going to work out. It just is. You've probably heard me say this before. I had a true, honest to God fear that I literally would end up living in a box on a street. And that drove so much of my behavior. And as a young professional, that really drove me, and it created all these behaviors that were terrible for me. And terrible for the people I loved around me, and terrible, frankly, for the people I worked with. Now, in the short term, it worked out great. But if I had this attitude, it's Hakuna Matata, it'll all work out. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There are nights I can't sleep because I wake up worrying about something.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about it in the middle of the night. But you know what happens? I wake up in the middle of the night, but in the long arc, it always works out.
It's going to work out.
It always works out.
It will work out.
Yep.
Okay. I had a second thought here that I've entirely lost.
You know what? This is probably a good place to pause. And when that thought comes back, let's save it up for next time, and we'll make whatever that thought is the subject of our next one.
Yeah. I have so many more questions for you.
Oh.
I could talk to you. I could talk to you about your business, your vision, where you want to go. You are, for me, just an endless well of information and interest. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for it.
No worries. Anytime.
I'm super excited about what you've built, and excited to see where it goes. I think there's tons of potential here.
Yep.
So thanks for that. Thank you for, this was going to be a half-hour episode. It's not. We apparently are not capable of that. So thank you for hanging with us through another episode. If you're getting value out of this, please subscribe, tell your friends about it. We'd love to get the message out, and we will see you next time at Armchair Quarterbacks.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Audio Jungle.